welcome. So if you've ever sat in a congregational leadership meeting, you already know the universal struggle of staring down a budget or a volunteer spreadsheet and realizing, well, you just can't do it all. Let's be honest, every single church that takes the Great Commission seriously eventually hits this exact tension. You have to figure out how to allocate your incredibly limited resources of time, money, and people between your own local community and the wider world. It's absolutely crucial, and really, it's one of the most vital stewardship discussions a congregation can possibly have. And that brings us straight to the pivotal question we all have to ask ourselves. Just how much of our time and money should stay local, and how much should be sent far away? Why do congregations even need to balance local missions alongside foreign ones in the first place? Well, as we'll see in this explainer, the answer isn't some magical one-size-fits-all percentage. It's actually a matter of ongoing prayerful discernment, mostly because the decisions you make here broadcast exactly what your congregation truly values. To avoid the real discomfort of confronting those budget limits, we tend to see churches naturally drift toward one of two extremes. On one side, you've got the local heavy congregation. They're investing every single dollar and volunteer hour into their own building and neighborhood, while foreign support kind of shrinks down to just a token line item. But then on the flip side, you have the foreign heavy congregation. They take immense pride in supporting global missionaries, and yet the neighborhood within walking distance of their own front doors has never received a personal invitation or a moment of attention. As you might guess, neither posture really reflects the biblical pattern. Okay, let's dive into this. To break out of this zero-sum mentality, we're going to follow a strategic roadmap today. 1, the mission tug of war. 2, the New Testament pattern. 3, lessons from church history. 4, assessing your current balance. And 5, actionable steps to rebalance. Starting with section 1, the mission tug of war. This is the core problem, where we see that stewardship isn't just a one-and-done math equation. It's a living, breathing tension. To truly understand why congregations have to balance local missions, we need to dismantle a major myth. And it starts right here with Acts 1:8. You know the verse. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. For way too long, people have read this as a sequential checklist. The myth is that you literally must perfectly finish your local missions in Jerusalem before you're even allowed to move on to Judea, and only then to the ends of the earth. But actually, scratch that. That is not how it worked at all. What was actually happening is brilliantly illustrated by the idea of concentric circles. Acts 1:8 describes a pattern of widening, overlapping mission fields that continue simultaneously. Think about it like ripples in a pond. Jerusalem never stopped being a mission field just because the gospel finally reached Rome. Holding both together is essential because faithful, active local care is actually the engine that fuels outward reach. Moving to section 2, the New Testament pattern. Let's look at exactly how the early church successfully managed these overlapping circles. Consider these 3 fascinating case studies. The Jerusalem church was intensely local, caring for widows on a daily basis, yet that local health created the exact foundation needed for their members to scatter and preach globally. Then look at Antioch. They were doing sustained local in-person discipleship, and in that exact same season, they sent Paul and Barnabas overseas. Incredible, right? And Philippi maintained a local body of elders and deacons while simultaneously funding Paul's distant work for years. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that local presence and mature foreign partnerships were never treated as competing priorities. They were always deeply intertwined. Now for section 3, lessons from church history. Looking back at the Restoration movement, we find we aren't the first to wrestle with this, and their struggles are super insightful. Tracing this historical timeline, we hit the 1849 Missionary Society controversy. Interestingly enough, they completely agreed that missions should happen. The whole debate was simply about how to organize it. Then jump to the 1870s. During a terrible cholera outbreak, David Lipscomb stayed right there in Nashville to serve the poor. For him, local presence was non-negotiable. You couldn't just send help from a comfortable, safe distance. Contrast that with 1892, when J.M. McCaleb sailed to Japan. He basically proved that congregations could directly and relationally support foreign work for decades. And all of this culminates brilliantly with Nashville's Central Church of Christ between 1925 and 1945. They are a documented historical example of a congregation that pursued vigorous evangelism and well-organized local benevolence at the exact same time. It's a real game changer because it proves that perfectly balancing local and foreign missions isn't just some theological pipe dream. It is a historically achieved reality. Section 4, assessing your current balance. Now, what's really interesting here is how we can apply this today using some diagnostic questions. As anyone in leadership knows, budgets rarely lie, even when our intentions do. The hard truth we all have to face is that resources are finite. A dollar committed to a foreign mission is literally a dollar not spent on a local benevolence fund. An hour spent managing a foreign partnership is an hour an elder isn't shepherding local families. Acknowledging this undeniable limit, the fact that we make trade-offs every day, is step one. Let's walk through some hard-hitting financial diagnostic questions you can ask yourselves. What percentage of the budget actually goes to local versus foreign? Has that foreign line item grown or shrunk in the last 5 years? That'll tell you if it's a living priority or just a dusty legacy commitment. And here's a really powerful one. Can your members actually name a supported missionary? Because if they can't, let's face it, your foreign giving is just a recurring transaction, not a true relationship. But hey, it goes way beyond just the money. Look at your people and awareness. How many members engage in local outreach on a monthly basis? Are your foreign partners prayed for publicly by name? What does your teaching calendar actually focus on? You see, what you pray for and preach about quietly teaches the whole congregation what to value. And keep in mind, a balance achieved once will naturally drift over time without constant, deliberate attention. Finally, Section 5, actionable steps to rebalance. Based on your diagnostic results, here's a menu of actions you can take. Generally speaking, you're going to find your congregation falls into one of these two camps. You're either local heavy, meaning you need to build genuine global relationships, or you're foreign heavy, meaning you really need to turn your attention back to your own local neighborhood. The key here is definitely not to attempt everything all at once. Just pick one or two priority steps from the path that applies to you and start there. So if you're leaning local heavy, your goal is to turn a generic budget line into a genuine relationship. Stop giving to a faceless fund. Name a specific foreign work or missionary. Put a face to it. Set a modest multi-year giving goal that's actually sustainable for you. Bring their updates in front of the whole congregation every quarter, not just a missions committee. And crucially, start praying for them by name during your public worship. On the flip side, if you're foreign heavy, you need to apply the exact same intentionality you use for foreign fields directly to your own neighborhood. Do a 10-mile local demographic assessment. You should know your own backyard just as well as you know a continent across the globe, right? Set a specific protected budget line for local outreach. Train your members for personal evangelism and build at least one sustained local partnership, like maybe a school or food pantry, so you can move beyond those disconnected one-time events. No matter where you fall on that spectrum, here are the universal steps to maintain your balance. Revisit this assessment annually. Resist the urge to compare yourself with the church down the road. Philippi and Antioch did it differently, and so will you. Make your financial and volunteer trade-offs deliberate and prayerful rather than accidental. And above all, treat both local and foreign missions as vital expressions of the Great Commission. Remember, Acts 1:8 was never written as an either-or proposition. I want to leave you with this provocative question to chew on. Is your congregation's comfort with foreign generosity actually an excuse to avoid the messy, personally exposing work of evangelizing the neighbors you'll actually have to see again next week? True balance means being rooted deeply enough at home to be genuinely generous abroad, and generous enough abroad without ever neglecting the mission field right across the street.